Forget gurus. Forget anyone claiming to be an online business expert without going through the challenges of entrepreneurship themselves. The Real Money, Real Business podcast is here to prove the best insights in online business comes from your fellow online business builders. We dig into stories of entrepreneurs selling their business on the Empire Flippers marketplace so that you can learn how they made their business profitable, how they overcame obstacles, and what lessons they learned in their online journey. If you want to take your business and your knowledge to the next level, you've come to the right podcast. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Real Money, Real Business podcast. We record these interviews so potential buyers have more information about the seller and the business to help them make a buying decision. Before we dive in, let's go over a brief summary of this business. It's an info product business created in January of 2012 in the health and fitness niche. The average monthly revenue for the business is $82,729 and makes an average of $25,023 per month in net profit. The assets included in the sale are primary domain and all site content and files, 301 redirect domain, employer contracts, Shopify account, WooCommerce account, social media accounts and pages, which include Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, trademarks, an email list with over 60,000 subscribers, industry research report and business model research, branding guidelines, images and videos, Stripe account, PayPal account, and just as a disclaimer, the buyer will be required to have a legal entity in the country where the Stripe account is located to purchase the business. For everyone listening, you can visit empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing 60026 to learn more about the business, or you can unlock this listing to start your due diligence if you're interested in purchasing this asset. So that's a brief overview of the business for sale. Let's hear from the seller with me today. So welcome to the show, Tevye. How are you doing today?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, I'm looking forward to learning more about you and your business. So to start us off, can you tell us a little bit about your background in building and running online businesses?
Well, actually, I had no previous background in this online business. We were primarily an in-person training business where we ran events. And what happened during COVID is we had to put everything online, and we had immediate success with that. And so we then directed our full efforts to bringing everything, our full curriculum online, and putting a great effort into making more comprehensive online courses and also developing the website and marketing to a much greater degree.
Wow, that's incredible. So you already had the foundation, but it was really COVID that helped kind of catapult this into the online space, I guess further solidify it in the online space. That's awesome. So it's been several years since building this business. Why are you deciding to sell the business now instead of keeping it and growing it?
Well, number one, my main expertise is teaching and running events. I am not an expert in online businesses, but now I've been forced to wear that hat and act as CMO as well. And now that COVID and travel restrictions are pretty much over, I want to get back to teaching my in-person trainings and events and opening a retreat center as well. And so that is my main objective and passion. The online business requires enough time that I wouldn't have enough time to pursue those endeavors. So I would like to give this online business to someone who is capable and has experience in running online businesses, because I think they could scale it to a much greater degree than what I could do on my own with no online business experience.
Wow. I love hearing that because I think a lot of the shift now, or the conversation, is about shifting from in-person to online and, digital nomadism. So it's nice to hear that you want to go back to the in-person side of things. Okay. So what did you learn from building this business that just seemed to work? You certainly experienced a lot of success. So what did you learn that worked towards that success?
People want health, something for emotional balance and body. So these mind-body practices are growing exponentially because of COVID, and that will majority of the population up to the fact that they better take care of their health. So these alternative mind-body practices are growing exponentially. I know a lot of people in the health and wellness field who've seen their businesses explode because of this. And so there's a huge trend towards that direction. So we focused on developing online courses for emotional balance, but also mobility as well. And something people could do from their home that it also has meditation in it. So it's got this really balanced, holistic program that's very appealing to people. So we're in a very deep niche, which is called Qigong, and the majority of the world has not heard of that. And one area that I think that could be developed to open up is to start to market to people who don't know anything about Qigong and never heard of it. So that was an area we were exploring and scaling cold traffic. So for example, we have Qigong for back pain, but rather than coming at it with Qigong for back pain, we come at it with, here's a 1,000-year-old solution for back pain, and coming from those angles and then gradually getting them into the whole concept of Qigong once they're already in there. And also anxiety is another place we've had success with, because anxiety is a huge emotional issue in this current time, especially with the financial crisis that the world is enduring and just coming out of, a huge pandemic. So those sides, body pain and emotional balance for anxiety, are places where we've had success with also our certification trainings. A lot of people want to become certified so they can make a change in their career. And so we designed a professional university style curriculum. I worked with people from Harvard University and Stanford University to develop a university style curriculum that can be applied online and can be learned online. And we have had a lot of positive feedback that we have the most comprehensive online program that people have told us that they've seen in any industry, in anything they've ever done, that we have the most comprehensive online program. So I think that is an area we had success with as well, that contributed to our success.
Yeah, that's incredible. There's a lot there that it sounds like you did right. Was there anything that you tried with this business then that didn't work out as well?
Absolutely. We're recommended to move to Shopify. We're on WordPress, and we spent months and months on the migration. And the agency that did the web design and everything didn't take a lot of the factors into account, such as the SEO rankings, which we assumed they did because they said they could handle that. But once we made the move, a lot of the buttons didn't work correctly. And they said they tested everything, but apparently they didn't test it thoroughly. So we found a lot of things didn't work. People couldn't check out. And then we had a problem with Shopify somehow stopped the ability for us to charge credit card. So it was a disaster. And then our SEO agency said that our SEO rankings were dropping like a stone. And so after weeks of seeing our sales plummet in the prime peak month that usually our sales are at the highest, and we spent so much money to do all this, huge marketing campaign, it was a very stressful decision. We were up till, 2 a.m. trying to fix things and get things working, and people couldn't get access to their courses. People couldn't buy things, and nothing was working right. So we made the difficult decision to flip the switch back on our old website, which had an outdated look and it was slow, but at least people could buy their courses. But by then it was already 3 weeks into the month. So we lost about 3 weeks of solid sales that normally we would have had a huge month. And that was painful and a big learning lesson that we cannot depend on an agency to do testing. We need to actually have our highest staff members do, in-house test it thoroughly. And also we need to have our own SEO agency verify and check on the actual SEO to make sure the SEO migration was done properly, because we've done so much SEO. And what they advised was, don't go to Shopify. Actually, your kind of website is better for WordPress. So what we did is unfortunately, we lost those 3 weeks of revenue, but we had the designs migrated to WordPress. And now we're going through another migration because our WordPress site is a bit bloated now with scripts and too much plugins. And so it's bogged down. And so we're migrating it to another WordPress website. But the good news is when you migrate from one WordPress site to another, you're not going to have those kinds of hiccups with SEO rankings dropping and everything like that. And also, we know that everything will work right with the checkout, but we're still going to do a thorough test before we flip the switch on the new migration. So those were painful lessons learned that cost me and brought my valuation down, actually, from what it was. It would have been higher had we didn't lose that revenue for that month. But in the grand scheme of things, it was a blip. Yeah. So we're back on track and everything's fine now with that.
Yeah, that is painful to hear. And it's unfortunate that in most cases, because a migration is usually a one-time thing in the life of a business, or maybe one or two, that the importance of doing a migration properly, I guess they're not known until things go wrong. So yeah, I have seen that a lot. Even our brokerage, we offer a migration service, and we do it for that reason, because these things can be risky. It's not just handing over credentials and logging into another account and you're continuing your operations. So yeah, definitely. Well, I'm glad to hear despite that, it was comparatively just a blip, as you said. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how traffic is generated for this business, as I know there are a few channels. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Our primary revenue generator is Facebook. So we have a dedicated Facebook ads agency. And I should give you a little bit of background is that, when I first started doing internet marketing, I was hiring some random agencies out of India, and they got me to a certain stage. So then I hired an agency out of London. They got me to another stage. Then I hired an agency that actually I brought a guy in-house from an agency who ran his own agency. Then he could only get me to a certain stage. And then I hired a guy who ran an agency who specialized in Facebook ads for online courses and only took on clients who were doing a minimum of 50 grand a month in sales. And so he showed me he could double our business. And so his Google ads were nothing to write home about, but his Facebook ads were stellar. And they also did a lot of sales page creation and optimization to match those ads. So he unfortunately shut down his agency, and we jumped to a new agency, and it was relatively quick because he gave us about, I think it was like 3 weeks notice, a month notice. And we went with someone who we thought was really good. Our sales dropped a lot with that agency. And I just noticed they were really lazy. They were not on point. It was nothing like working with our previous agency. And I wasn't surprised. After 2 months of sales just being stagnant, I said, we're going to move to another agency. As soon as we made the switch, 1 month later, our sales were back up. So I knew we had to focus on an agency that was really good at Facebook. So now I hired an agency where the guy actually used to be an advertising rep at Facebook for high-level clients.
Wow.
Doing, hundreds of millions of dollars in ads. So yeah, and just working with people on that level is just night and day. And then I've now hired a dedicated PPC agency that's an award-winning PPC agency. Just started working with them, and I hired a dedicated email marketing agency. So this is our new strategy, is to work kind of silo off each channel and work with sort of masters of each domain. But at the end of the day, Facebook for our past few years has been our main source of revenue, Facebook ads.
Yeah.
So we got PPC, Facebook ads, and email marketing. Email marketing has brought in up to 15% of the revenue. I would say PPC has brought in anywhere between 5 to 15%, depending on the month of revenue. And also, we've had good SEO because we've done SEO for years. And we just completed another 6-month SEO campaign with a really solid agency out of California. They were a bit expensive. So the person who buys the business is going to reap the benefits of that campaign, because as you know, SEO can take 6 months to a year to start to see the results from each campaign. So we haven't defined how much revenue actually comes from SEO. We've tried influencer marketing, but it was so hard to track. We have somebody expanding our TikTok presence, as that's a new channel we're exploring. But we haven't seen major traction with TikTok, and we tried influencer marketing, like I said, with that channel, and we couldn't verify the revenue generated from that. So we're just keeping a presence there, but nothing major with that.
Got it. Well, certainly sounds like there are a lot of channels that you have set up, and some of which are paid and some of which are organic, and some that you own, which in your case is a very sizable email list. It's good to see that you have a nice balance of those working in conjunction. And also, I think it's a very wise point. I've heard a lot about hiring an agency or a coach, but to continue to scale the agency or coach according to the level that you're currently at or the level that you get to. I think that's a very strong point that's not often discussed, at least on these interviews. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. So let's talk about the work required. You mentioned that you siloed a few of the different parts of the business or the operations. Can you describe the amount and the type of work that you do on this business for maintenance?
Previously, before I siloed off each channel, I had the agency managing all those channels and coordinating the marketing campaigns for each of those channels. But because I've learned how they did that and how they set up the schedule, and I pretty much know where we need to direct our efforts, I'm the one now coordinating the calendar of events and what's going to be focused on for marketing. So that takes a little more oversight from my end. I'm also working with the web developer to improve our website. So that is something I oversee at least 3 or 4 times a week. And I have an assistant who's been with us for 5 years, and she's full time. So she knows everything that's going on with our business. And she's really good at managing customer support. And she also knows how our automations work, and she knows how to coordinate with the web developers. And the marketing teams also use her to do basic tasks. So that's pretty much it. Where I want to focus my energies is to develop new products, new courses. And that's where my energies are best directed.
Got it. So there sounds like there's an ongoing maintenance component to this business and it sounds like if a buyer were to acquire this business, they would have an assistant to help with that who has a lot of experience in this specific business.
Yeah, our assistant would go with the business. She's totally dedicated to this. And yeah, so basically their schedule, like a typical schedule might look like this if they're going to keep my current setup. And that is approve weekly emails. That takes about 15 to 20 minutes a week. Approve Facebook ads once a week or so, usually. That takes about 15 minutes at most. And then approve PPC ads. That takes another 15 minutes. Now, I do have a major YouTube campaign that I'm doing, which is to grow our YouTube channel. So I oversee our instructors create YouTube videos for us. They do not charge for this. We just pay the video editor. So I am also working on developing those video titles and descriptions, and then I assign it to the instructor. I do a new batch of videos every few months, and that takes me about 2 to 3 hours each time to develop about 15 video titles. And we use an AI program in YouTube to do that. And we have a support resources for how to do that if that's something the buyer wishes to pursue. Because I think our YouTube channel is a big opportunity to grow organically our followers and convert people.
Actually, that leads perfectly into this next question. So if you were to keep the business, can you tell me about some ways that you would try to grow it? So you said YouTube is one way that you would.
Yeah, absolutely. So YouTube is, I think, a big opportunity because it costs very little money. I think I spend about $600 a month on video editing, and that's all the money I pay to do YouTube. And we have a very good subscriber base that's growing exponentially. And we have a lot of people who like our YouTube channel and follow it. So that works out quite well. And as we've grown, YouTube starts to recommend our channel more and more and more as we've kind of tapped into their algorithm for being recommended within that space. Now, another thing that I think is another opportunity is to work, like I said, work on the SEO, optimize the website. The website, I think, see, I'm not a professional in website optimization, but I just had one professional do a website analysis and we're updating the site to convert better. But I think if someone paid attention or you hired a person who really knew what they were doing with creating web pages that convert, that is an opportunity that we have not explored that I do want to explore and optimize every single one of our sales pages based on those best practices and doing heat mapping and everything like that.
Yeah, got it. Well, that sounds like there are some exciting growth opportunities, definitely. Of course, with opportunities, there's always a degree of risk with any business model. So, what do you think are the biggest risks with this business that a buyer should be aware of?
The biggest risks with this business is that more and more people are coming into this space now, but that also could be a blessing as well because this space is growing so fast. But there is more competition. I think that, we've had some of these courses for years. So I think that in a few more years, you're going to want to produce some new courses. I'm working on one right now, Qigong for Sleep. That's a course we found that we think a lot of people will like. The advantage, we have instructors who know how to develop these courses and how to do it. So you could work with our instructors to do that, to develop those future courses. I mean, I'm not sure, but I've talked to people in the online course space that have said, some courses have a finite life. So you're going to need to cycle out some of those courses and cycle in some new courses at some point in time when you've kind of hit the ceiling with what you can do. Also, technology is changing. So staying relevant with technology and how it affects the online course world is good. Yeah. So that's what I see.
Yeah, and it sounds like these are all pretty much it's staying relevant and staying ahead of the competition, which I think is something that if you're getting into the online space or business in general, it's something to definitely expect to have to do. Okay, so a few housekeeping questions to wrap this up. How much support are you willing to offer a new buyer?
That's a great question because for me, I can go very deep into this depending on what they would be willing to compensate. So I'd be willing to offer very extensive support because I do want to see this business flourish and thrive. I am not interested to just give this and see it flounder. I'd even be interested to stay on the team in some type of degree. So, for example, I could help develop new products. I could help develop with some of the marketing. I could help the relationship with the instructors and seeing this, a very smooth transition. And also, like I said, I want to continue to teach in-person trainings, which I think would have a synergistic effect on the growth of the business. As people see me in person, then they want to go and study online as well. So I'd be happy to help continue to promote the online course business with my in-person trainings as well. Yeah, so, pretty much that's negotiable with the buyer to what degree they would like, and we can discuss that. That's an open discussion.
Okay, sounds good. And would you commit to a non-compete on this business after it's sold?
Yes, I would commit to a non-compete. Granted, I could continue to teach in person. And like I said, I don't see how that would be a detriment to the business in any way, shape, or form. In fact, I see it as a huge advantage as it will continue to expand our presence in a multidimensional way.
Yep. And for anybody who's listening here, that's definitely something to discuss. Okay. And are you open to something like an earnout on this business?
I'm open to an earnout depending on, what that entails. But ideally, I would like to get the full cash up front, then discuss some type of compensation plan for how deep they would like me to be in the business.
Got it. Sounds good. And last two questions. Putting yourself in the shoes of a buyer, why do you think this is a business worth buying?
Well, you're in an industry that is growing so quickly. The health and wellness world, I think, its spaces is one of the fastest growing spaces. And it's here for the long term. And emotional wellness, fitness, meditation, this ties into all of that. Mindfulness, this ticks all those boxes. So you're in the right place at the right time. You're with an established brand that we've spent years developing our brand. We have incredible reviews and recognition. And one of my values is excellence. So everything I do is top tier, top notch. So you're getting a stellar brand, and I feel at a really deeply discounted price. And also you're getting an amazing support from that as well. If I had the wherewithal to run the online business myself and teach, there's no way I would sell it. But I simply want to go back to my passion, which is teaching, and also give this to a person who really does know what they're doing in the online space and managing online marketing to really take this to the next level.
Got it. Definitely some compelling reasons for acquiring the business. Last question. Is there anything you'd like to add that you think I might have missed during the interview?
I'm not sure.
I know we covered a lot.
Yeah, that's pretty much covers most of it. We have a very loyal following, people who've been with us for many years, which I think speaks volumes. We have tons of return. I call them students. You might call customers, but I call them students. And we have people and testimonials that have talked about how our practice has changed their life. People in tears. It's emotionally moving. We've had people from all walks of life come into our courses, from ultra high net worth individuals to political figures, military elite to world champion athletes. We even have world champion athletes who are certified instructors. And we've had people with difficult to treat illnesses such as cancer, Parkinson's disease, MLS, come through our courses and report amazing experiences with our training. So this is not a business we did to make money. We did this to change people's lives, and we've proven that impact. And this is a proven business as well, that it also does not only impact lives, but also can generate a healthy amount of revenue that is sustainable.
That's awesome. And I'm interested in checking out the classes myself, so maybe I'll reach out later for that. But I think for the sake of this interview, I'm going to wrap this up here. So Tevye, thank you so much for sharing your story and joining us on today's episode. And I hope your business is purchased in the near future and by the right buyer.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. To learn more and see if this listing has already been sold, head over to empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing number 60026. And if you're watching this on YouTube, click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. And once you've unlocked this listing, you'll be given everything you need to know about this business. So until next time, enjoy your digital journey.